I've expanded on a tag with a Booktuber Shoutout. Hi Booktube, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing a tag, but I've expanded on this tag that was created by the wonderful, talented Gina Stanyor. And I was tagged by the intelligent, lovely Swerington. So I love traveling with books, Gina says. Do you? I'd love to hear your answers. Okay, so what I'm going to do, when I read through the questions, I realized that so many booktubers that I know are either expats, or they've traveled, or they've, they just love talking about books, about travel. So I decided that I'm going to do a shout out for the 5th question, which is tag some travelers. I was going to do a massive shout out, and I just want to say that this is not a small booktuber shout out. I know a lot of people are doing small booktuber shout outs, and that's wonderful, but these are booktubers that I subscribe to for the last, since since I started, but some of them are new to me, but that always give me something about travel or make me think about traveling. Because I live in Hawaii, I know a lot of, when I'm online, a lot of people from the UK tend to be online. So I have some UK people and people from Europe, as well as, Americans and other Western countries. Okay, let's start on the tag. Number 1, do you read when you travel? This is this has been evolving, because when I traveled a lot, and that's why Shelley tagged me, because she knew that I've been traveling since I was 18 years old. And at that time, people would read on airplanes. People were always, they always had a book, and there was no Kindles or anything like that. So yeah, in that case, I did travel always with a paper book. Now, it seems that, I don't know if it's age, I get a little dizzy if I'm on an airplane traveling, or even on a train, and I'd rather listen to music. That seems to soothe me more than reading does. But I've read books, I've read, whole books on plane rides, especially when I moved to Hawaii, because the plane ride is so long. So I would say that it has been evolving, and I would say that I don't read as much traveling as I used to. Number 2, do you travel with paper books? This is also evolving. I say that I went on a trip to Europe, and I did not bring a paper book with me, because I knew I would bring a lot of paper books back with me. So I just brought my Kindle with me, and I didn't get to read anything on my Kindle. Number 3, do you travel with an e-reader? I just started, I got a Kindle for Mother's Day last year, so I did bring my Kindle along. I haven't been totally successful with an e-reader. I've read maybe 5 books on my Kindle, and some of them were good experiences and some weren't. So I don't know if it's the Kindle's fault, or it's just that I wasn't reading the right books on Kindle. But I did read 1 or 2 good books, so maybe it is just the books that are available to me on Kindle. Number 4, how many books do you pack when you travel? Lately, none. But going back to the next one, so none. 5, does where you go, how long you are traveling, impact the amount of type of books you take? This is really true for me, because if I'm going on a cruise, though I don't really take cruises anymore, but I have taken ships from one port to another to get to a port. Like I went from New York to Europe a few times, especially when it was cheaper. But yeah, so then I'm going to read. But even then, you know, when I was younger, I read more at home than I did while traveling, let's put it that way. But however, when I'm living in a place, like when I was an expat in the Philippines, Japan, Spain, not as much as in Spain, but when I'm going to live in a certain place, then I bring more books. This is an interesting fact. When I went to the Philippines in 1990, just at the start of the Desert Storm, I found I didn't bring any books with me, and it was so hard to find books. Bookstores were very expensive, and books were expensive. So I was kind of shocked at that, and yet I did buy books because I was, you know, I had to read. So in Japan, I was able to find a good used bookstore, and it wasn't as difficult because I was making more money than I was in the other places that I traveled. So if I'm going to be an expat, even for 4 months, yes, I'm going to read. I'm going to buy books, maybe bring a few books. Number 6. Do you buy books when traveling or visit bookshops or libraries? Yes, yes, yes. Always. Even when I was young and I just went to visit my family from Hawaii to New York, I knew all the good bookstores. There was the Mystery Bookshop on 57th Street. That was before really big, you know, chains really started. But when they did start, I would always go to Manhattan, because that's where, you know, all the action is, so to speak, you know, where the tourists are. I lived in Brooklyn, so I would always go into the city and, you know, hit every bookstore. So yeah, so that really makes a difference. Now, when I went to Paris with my daughter, we hit Shakespeare and Company, and I spent more than I think I've ever spent in a bookstore. Yeah, which is over $100, which might not seem like a lot at one time, but it was a lot to me. I was surprised that I spent that much, but yeah, I was happy. Now it says tag some. Oh, as for libraries, I don't think I've ever. Wait, I'm lying. I have visited the New York Public Library while I was on a long visit to New York, visiting my parents. So yes, I have went to the library there. They have wonderful libraries in New York. And I can't call myself an expat in Minnesota, but they also have wonderful bookstores when I lived there for 5 years. But that's not exactly, the New York one, I would say that's traveling. But Minnesota, I was living there to go to college when I was 38. Okay, now we have tagged some travelers. And that's when I noticed that a lot of people that I follow on Booktube, and I follow a lot of people, and when I say I follow, I read almost, you know, I watch or listen to almost every video that the people that I follow put out. And that might be a little hard to do in the future because I do plan to finish my own book, but I just love to really comment and listen to people that I have something in common with. And I was talking to someone on Voxer, and they were telling me that, you know, what are you looking for when you follow someone, a booktuber? Are you looking to be entertained, or are you looking, you know, to find someone who has the same taste as you, or check some boxes of, you know, genres that you like? And that's interesting because I think I like a little of both, but mostly I like, if you're only doing YA or fantasy, I don't care how entertaining you are, I don't think I'm going to be following you. And it has nothing to do with age. I follow some young people, so they have to have something that you know, that we can connect on some kind, so that I'm interested in your content. So I'm going to tag some travelers. I don't know really if all of them are travelers. Some of them are expats. So I'm going to have, you know, I said that this in my, I'm going to say that this is a massive booktuber tag, but it's actually, I'm going to have to put it in 2 or 3 videos, because, you know, I don't want to be here forever. You know, make you be here forever. Let's put it that way. I'm going to start with Kathy, the Grim Reader, because first of all, she's such a wonderful booktuber. I love the way she's also on Instagram, and I love the books that not all of them, but I love a lot of the same books that she has, and she's just a wonderful person. And yeah, her name is Kathy Grimm, so she does like fairy tales a lot, and that's you know, she likes other books too, but that's my first person that I'm putting down. Then I have some expats that are, one is Book Time with Elvis, with Mark, and he is an expat. He lives in the Czech Republic, and he's an TEFL teacher, which is teaching English as a foreign language, which I was. And he's just a lovely person, and Elvis is his dog, and you know, I'm a sucker for dogs anyway. So we don't really read the same material most of the time, but he does other videos where he shows where he lives, and he's just so lovely to listen to. And then I think I talked about him before, Jim at Books and Reading and Stuff. We do read a lot of the same books, and he was a comedian for a while, and he's funny. And I had it in my mind that I wanted to be a comedian. Bad idea for me. He said it was a bad idea for him too. But he's very entertaining, and he does read a lot of the same books, like mysteries and nonfiction. A new expat that I just really found out about when I was doing her tag is Heather at Soggy Expat Reads. And I think she's going to be one of the hosts of Shorty September. So yeah, she's an expat in Wales, I think. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Wales. And she's just funny, entertaining, and smart. So yeah, so you can follow her. New to me is Bob the Bookerer, and he is the one who created the Booktube Prize, and so I found out about him there, you know, following other people who follow the Booktube Prize, who are judges for the Booktube Prize. So I'm just getting to know him, but I'm going to put him down. And then there's AJ Dunn Reads and Writes, and since they read and write, and so do I just started really following, you know, more, you know, consistently on their channel. And then my friend Daniel from Guilty Feet, he's hilarious. You know, you have to check him out. He lives in Israel. And I have a book, you know, a travel book about Israel. And the bad things about travel books is that most of them kind of go out of style. But I figured that this is more of a history and pictures, so yeah. I never did get to read this, but I had an interesting conversation with a bunch of sailors. That doesn't sound right, but actually they needed my translation, so I was there with my friend, and I asked them in Spanish what was their favorite place that they ever traveled, and the most beautiful place they said was Israel, so that made me interested. And Daniel is just, you have to follow him. His intro is hilarious, and his intro and his, you know, when he rides across his bookcase is hilarious. So yeah, he deserves more subscribers than he has. And like I said, some of these booktubers aren't, you know, super small. Some of them, and not many of them, are super big, but I do have one big booktuber here. Then there's Jen the librarian, who she's a lovely person, and I just watched her latest video where she was talking about Diary of a Provincial Lady by E.M. Delafield, and I wrote out Consequences, and that was a Persephone book, and I'm sorry I don't have I don't remember what she was exactly talking about, but I remember that I said, oh, I have to get this. And she also talks about LGBTQIA plus books that, you know, now learning about and getting more into. Then there's Roz at Scallydandling about the books. Roz likes to read a lot of nature books, and I follow her from time to time. I don't watch every video she puts out. I'm not that much of a nature reader, but she also has a lot of other books that we have in common. And she's just a fun person. She's a little older than most booktubers, so I have that in common with her. I didn't know what scallydandling meant, but I kind of figured out it meant kind of like looking here and there. Tell me, Roz, if I have that wrong. And then there's Gina from Beating Around the Books. I forgot to say that both Jen, the librarian, Roz, and I'm not sure if Gina from Beating Around the Books is, I think she's from Germany, Gina is, and Roz and Jen are from the UK. So, yeah. So as for traveling, I'll have to ask them. Are you into traveling, Jen? Are you into traveling, Roz and Gina? And Gina from Beating Around the Book, she has a very soft voice, and I really like listening to her. She always has something important to say. So, yeah. And then a booktuber that's new to me, but I have loads in common with, is Sarah from Hardcover Hearts. In fact, she got me hooked on Anita Brookner. And I have to say, I just finished this last night. It's called Making Things Better. This was one of the most depressing books that I've ever read. And unlike, this was written in her later years, so maybe she was getting more and more depressing. I mean, Anita Brookner is. But Sarah has the most wonderful, we have a lot in common. Not only, I think she said once that she works so she can travel. Oh boy, I get that. I get that, Sarah. But she is delightful. You have to check her out. I mean, she's just so smart, delightful, and she went on a big trip. The same time I was there, she was on a sabbatical. So we had wonderful weather, except that she went to Edinburgh and I didn't. I just went to Paris and to southern France. But she brought home a lot more books than I did, and she had three hauls to prove it. So thank you, Sarah, for introducing me to Anita Brookner, even though I didn't like this one. Did not like this one. But anyway, you have to check out Sarah from Hardcover Hearts, as well as all of the booktubers that I'm mentioning, because I really think that they're lovely people and have a lot to give to BookTube. I already talked about Kevy at Say Kevy, but I have to talk about her again because, you know, she's just a lovely person, and she just like sends out messages and good wishes, and you have to check out her channel. She loves mysteries. She writes too. I think she writes mysteries too. Yes, you do, Kevy. Okay, then I have to apologize to a booktuber that I said her name wrong last time, and her name is Courtney Ferreter. I hope now I'm pronouncing it right. I said it wrong, and I really apologize. She's one of the first booktubers that I started following. She's a professor. I'm not sure if she's in Atlanta or some other southern state, but she's very smart, and she was reading, as I said before, Philip Roth, who I wasn't really keen on reading because when his books started coming out, I felt that he was sort of a misogynist. But anyway, yeah, he might have something to say. She reads translated fiction too, and she reads all kinds of different countries. I think she also does this book club that they have, that they do underrepresented countries, and they get a country and then they read a book. And I'm sorry if the name of the book club is escaping me right now, but I'll have it down below in the notes. Then I wanted to talk about a new channel that I just found. I heard about it from other booktubers. It's Sean and Bert at Pet Story Time, and they're the ones who came up last year with Shorty September, which we're going into now. So they're very entertaining. Yeah, Bert is a poet and a spoken word poet, I think I read on his channel, and I was a spoken word poet at one point. So we have that in common, but they're very funny and very entertaining, and I'm trying to do Shorty September this month, and I like short books anyway, so I'm hoping to join in on that readathon. Then I just wanted to mention two others. Ashley's Little Library, and she reads memoirs and thrillers. I don't read as many thrillers as I used to, but she does read a lot of memoir and other, I think she reads fantasy, which I don't read. But she's a younger booktuber, but so smart and intelligent. I always love to listen to her and watch her. And my big booktuber that I'm going to mention is a UK booktuber, and I think she has 40,000 followers. So she doesn't need me to shout her out. But I wanted to shout her out for different reasons. Her name is Mercy's Bookish Musings. And Mercy is a lovely person. She's from the UK. And I hope you don't mind me saying this, Mercy, but she reminds me of a tough girl. You know, she's tough. And I really appreciate that she loves memoir, and she promotes memoir on her channel, which is the genre that I write in, is nonfiction and memoir. So I always have she always gives me a book that I need to read and I need to buy, or I need to get out of the library. Well, I'm going to stop here because I have so many more booktubers that I want to shout out. And I am looking for smaller booktubers as well. And I plan to join in the promoting smaller booktubers. But let's face it, Booktube is not, we're not going to have 40,000 like Mercy. I mean, not many of us are. So I think that shouting out a person with a few thousand followers is like a small booktuber. And I want to thank Gina for giving me this idea and expanding on her idea of traveling with books, because traveling, she travels a lot. She's been traveling a lot to Las Vegas, and I've never been to Las Vegas. Of all the places I've been, I sort of wanted to go other than my own country until recently. I mean, I've been to a few places like, I lived in Minnesota. I come from New York. I've been to California, but I haven't even really been to Florida or Maine or Oregon, which I really would like to, or Washington State, which is not far from me. So I should really, that's my next, view of my life, is to travel more in my own country. And am I going to bring books there with me? Who knows what's going to happen with technology? Maybe there'll be something even more techno savvy than an e-reader. Maybe we'll have stuff implanted in us that will read to us. Oh, do we already have that as audiobooks? I'm just kidding. But I want to thank again Shelley Swerington for tagging me, and I hope you enjoyed this shout out. Not as massive as I had planned, but I'm not finished yet. So if you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and like and comment and hit the notification bell. And until the next time, I hope everybody is well, happy, and reading and traveling. Aloha.